Welcome to the spoiler section for John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Spoilers. There's nothing at the end. I stayed all the way to the end. Nothing there, so don't stay after.
So good.
So let's see. We start
in the library. The very first fight's in the library.
In the library.
Like I
Explain
like
that
how
one.
he uses everything around him. Like we were saying, the environment. He's in the library. He uses a fucking book to dislocate the guy's jaw.
Well, it's not just that, because the other guy grabs him by the head and is slamming his face into the bookshelves too. So everyone in this fight, everyone in this movie,
it's library.
is making sure that they're not just doing like unbelievable crap. I mean, there's a little bit, but I mean, even the big
John
guys
Wick.
grabbing him by the head and slamming John Wick's head into.
Now,
the...
I had one problem with that, and I was going to lean over and tell you, if you watch this guy is a giant. He's huge.
He's
very,
normal
very
sized.
tall. No, he's not.
It's like me and him fighting.
Alex, he would dwarf you. And so as they're fighting, he's using this book, which we'll talk about the book in a second. But if you watch the giant's right hand, his hand is constantly like this. You know, he's not, punching with his hand enough. There are moments where, it's the action is all here up in this area, and I just had a problem. I was like, it could have just been weak punches, like one or two weak punches from the giant, and I would have bought it more. But, now I'm like looking and I'm hyper analyzing all these fights because we're here at the height, number 3.
It was still a great fight, though.
But it completely doesn't matter because the fight heightens itself to a satisfying level, especially how he dispatches him.
Well, he rips the guy's jaw open, shoves the book in, and then punches it into his skull a bunch of times. And then, when you think you're done, but wait, there's more.
But wait,
he puts the book on the table and gingerly lays his neck on top of it, and then just slams his head down.
Yeah.
And then my favorite part is he puts the book back.
Yeah, with blood on it.
Yeah.
Now this
Everything
book
is a
contained.
weapon.
So how does John get out of this basic situation? Well, essentially, he's been holding a secret from us, and I'm not sure. This might have been something else that affected my score to 9. Is he's actually Russian, and he was an orphan or something, and there's a faction that pays fealty to the table but isn't actually a part of the table. First, he goes to this bookshelf where he gets a rosary. It's one of his secret stashes, a few more coins like he had in his house, a rosary, and a marker, an honor marker. So then from there, we get one of the best scenes. I got to talk about that knife scene. And what they do here, everything is so fucking realistic. They spent, basically it reminds me of the hallway scene in Marvel's Daredevil where, there's they take moments
Or
to
the
kind of
hallway scene in
breathe.
Old Boy, which is where they...
Yeah, and the knife fights. When knives go into people and they come out of people, and then and then they go back into people, and then sometimes they get stuck on a skull, and it's like, okay, John, and then John, slaps it in even further to make it, do what he wants it to do.
Well, first he goes to the revolvers, the display section of the revolvers, and he just thinks he can put bullets in these museum revolvers, and then he realizes they can't because they've been welded in there. So he has to take apart a bunch of different guns, put one together for one to work. And I thought it was a great scene.
It's a fantastic scene showing you how trained John is
Yeah.
and how useful and resourceful he is. And he only uses it once. One bullet to shoot the first guy. Then he fights the next 15 guys that come in. But anyway, they get into a small hallway with all these display cases with knives, and they're constantly smashing and getting new weapons. Ooh, so good,
It was
all the
really
knives.
good. Well, it was also brutal. There was a particular fight, a death of some lackey that was brutal.
Mm-hmm.
The eye, like the really slow. They're fighting over it, and he's slow.
They're
And I'm like,
brutal.
they're gonna cut away. It's like
No,
they didn't cut away.
they
He's
did
just
not.
like
You see,
slowly
like, pop,
sticking it in his eye, and he
just
just like
pops,
keeps
and it's
punching
like,
the knife.
There goes the blood.
That was after
And
the
then
other brutal
when
thing. the
everybody
skull.
just seems like everyone's dead, this guy's just like kind of getting up, like all hurt. You see John at the end of the hallway just fucking throwing ass.
He's not even in it's not even in focus. You just see this suited dude grab it's like a fire axe,
Yeah.
right? And then this hurt lackey's like getting up, and then John just hurls this axe across the room, kills him. It was perfect.
That was worth the price of
Yes.
admission.
Oh, yeah.
Those scenes combined. Then there's a third fight with some motorcycle guys. guys, I think, what happens immediately?
The Italians then attack him.
Italians
and then they run into the depot. So in New York City, they have all of those like horse-drawn carriages.
Yes.
So they go.
Oh, this is the horse scene.
They run into the depot with the horse carriages, and it's so good.
Yeah, because John is able to, basically slap a horse in a certain, set up a person right behind the horse's target area, which is the buttocks of the horse, and if you bother a horse or hit it in a certain way, it's gonna buck. And it fucking bucks and breaks this dude's fucking neck. He does it like once more.
One more time, but
Doesn't
what was great was the first time the horse just kicks the guy in the face and he dies. The second time, the horse kicks the guy, but he doesn't die, and so he just keeps like bothering the horse, so the horse just keeps kicking him. It was amazing.
And we're not. John wasn't putting.
This is
animals
the
at
first
risk.
15
I
minutes.
felt like
We're still within the first 15
No,
minutes.
this is like 20 minutes. Yeah, I think you're right. And this is why this thing was like a fucking 10 out of 10. But eventually things calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
He's able to go to his the only place that would give him safe haven. He uses the rosary in order to gain entrance to like a movie theater area. And this
the
has
ballet.
a convent, some ballerinas, and then some Russian wrestlers. And then she's like, "Oh, does that seem familiar? Does that take you back old times?" And we see, oh, well, John must have trained here with these people at some point. I'm sure he's gotten other training too.
Oh, yeah.
But, and this little tradition, this little sect has their own traditions where he is able to turn in a ticket. And she's like, well, you know what this means for me. If I help you, I'm going to get fucked over. But if I turn in, he's like, you need to honor this ticket. And so, I don't know. We don't really know, I guess. That's just from John's past history.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Turns in the ticket. She brands him, ticket redeemed, and basically gives him safe passage out of the city. Because
to Casablanca.
He needed to get the hell out of there. It's like, where are you going? I'm going to Casablanca. I thought he was joking. I was like, what? What do you mean? No, he really is going to Casablanca. Okay. I want to mention he had a few minutes left before the excommunicado was going to happen, and he goes, that big giant guy that we were talking about stabs him with a knife, and so he can't go this whole time with such a deep cut without at least getting it tended to. So he goes to a doctor with like 10 minutes left, and the doctor seems like this really kind old man, and he's like, all right, John, let's get in, and they try to do it fast, and time runs out while he's trying to stitch him up. So John is able to finish it himself. He takes some medicine, and he's like, fuck. Because I gave you the medicine, they're gonna know.
They're gonna kill me.
They're gonna kill me, and so the only way he's got a gun, and I'm like, oh no, man, please don't do this. Like you're gonna kill John, or you're gonna betray John. But no, he gives him the gun, and he's like, you know what you need to do. He sits down in the chair, he lifts up his shirt.
He's like, shoot me there, but
shoot me
but below the floating rib, so I can. And it's just
and he just shoots him without letting him finish, and then he goes like, oh, and he's like, ooh. And then he's like, oh, you gotta do another one.
They'll never believe one shot. Yeah.
Right. So he talks again. He gets shot. So hopefully that old dude is all right.
Oh, he's
because
fine.
he was a cool guy.
John's a good shot.
Right, innocent. But go ahead and.
Okay, so basically the part that kind of I didn't like, he goes to
Casablanca.
We're out
he
in the
goes
desert.
to Casablanca to ask for forgiveness and all this. Like all that purpose was that plot.
Well, there's a
not-
Continental there, right?
Yeah, so when he gets to
Yeah.
Casablanca, there is a Continental there, and it's run by Halle Berry.
yeah.
And so the locket that he showed earlier, she owes him a favor, and it's
He
because
helped her out.
he helped get her daughter out of this life, and so she owes him one. And so his goal is, I need to speak with the guy that not just the people at the high table, the one guy that's above the whole table, the one person that manages
elder.
everything, the elder of everything. And so they get they go to the guy that can lead him to the elder.
Yeah, this was a little confusing.
So the guy they went to, Braun, is actually a member of the High Table. So he used to be the manager of the Continental in Casablanca, and then now he's a member of the High Table.
Oh, right, because she was promoted to a manager because when John talked to her and she owed her that favor, that was back when she was just an assassin, not a manager.
Yeah. So now they go to Braun. I don't know the actor's name, but he was great.
Yeah.
And so they're asking for this favor, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do this this for you, and then he tries to take her dog.
But at the same time, he does tell him how to meet
He
the
does.
elder. He says, the elder, you cannot
Yeah.
find the
He
elder.
shoots her
the elder
dog.
manages
After
to
he
find
fucks
you.
around, yes.
So now that I've given you this information and I'm helped you, technically I could be at risk, so you need to give me fealty. You need to give me something.
Yeah.
I want this dog. And
Well, not
she's
just
like,
something. He knows exactly what the dogs mean to her, and so he's like, "You're gonna give me one of your, your fur babies. Like it's mine." And then she says no, so he goes to shoot it and say, "This is to remind you
He fucking
that
shoots a
I'm
fucking
in charge."
dog.
But the dog's wearing armor, and so the dog is
Bulletproof
fine.
vest.
But
And
it
then
pisses
she-
her
Yeah,
off,
she goes crazy.
and then they kill everybody.
And I think this way, in doing Halle Berry's character, immediately endeared her to us.
Oh, of course.
Because, like, she's protecting the dog. I fucking love dogs. And then fucking John's like, hey, understand.
Well, she says, no, I had to do that because he shot my dog. And then John looks at the camera and pretty much it goes, I understand.
yeah. So you get it. I get it, or something like that.
And that's one of my favorite fight sequences, them running through like this little keep, killing
right, they're not
people.
going to just simply let them walk out, so they
Oh, yeah.
fight their way out.
The
And
dogs do work.
Fantastic action choreography here by the dog handlers. Those dogs are great fucking actors.
They bite a lot of crotches, and I mean I understand,
Chests,
I completely
throats.
understand why, but there's a lot of times where we're just like,
You disarm them like in an instant.
oh, immediately because the dude with the machine gun just goes like just falls
Ah.
over. Yeah.
And that leaves Halle Berry to come in and mop up.
Oh, yeah.
While those guys are being distracted, shall
Mm-hmm.
we say, by the dogs.
And then we get to the disappointing part, which I agree with you a little bit. I mean, I think it was necessary for the whatever story, but
Yeah, it was necessary.
I don't think it was.
I want to meet the head guy because I want to see who's the man behind the fucking curtain.
What I was disappointed is not the journey to meet this person and not what happened, but it was kind of like this Bedouin in the middle of the desert, and he was just hanging out.
And he was a real young-looking guy.
He was the guy from
kinda-
Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He was the actor from Wonder Woman, and so he's a great actor, and I really liked it. But I wanted,
one of the soldiers in Wonder Woman. I think it was maybe in Sicario, or no, I don't
remember
think
from
so.
there.
But yeah. So
I wanted his camp and his tent to be something bigger than a tent in the middle of the desert.
But maybe that's what the director and writers were trying to say is that the guy at the top doesn't live like he's at the top. He it's still extravagant. Maybe they should have took away everything, and that would have been like an interesting dichotomy between the guy at the top who doesn't really act like he's at the top. But no, he's in the middle of the desert. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing out here? He's controlling everything from the middle of the desert.
He manages all of the organized crime in the
Yeah.
whole world, and he's just like hanging out. There's not even AC.
And how many
just
places
needed
are
it.
there? We know there's New York Continental. We know there's another Continental from one of
Rome.
the other films, Rome. And now we know there's a
If there's one in
Continental.
Casablanca, we know there's one in like every major
Yeah,
city.
there's one everywhere.
Okay, yeah, because in one of the scenes where they actually excommunicate or they call desecrate or something like that. What is it? Deconsecrate, something like that. The New York Continental, you see a book being pulled from a stack of fucking books, and you're like, okay, that might be all the Continentals that there is. Eventually, he, goes to him and says, how can I get out of this? Because I want to live. I want to live for the memory of my wife, and I'm not sure if I buy that. I think it would have been a bittersweet kind of ending and a perfect ending for John Wick to die and go join his wife, but no, he wants to live so he can earn the memory of her love or something.
He may
weird.
not like believe in much of an afterlife if he's just indiscriminately murdering thousands of people over the course of like the whole
Right.
John Wick universe.
Right.
So he
So-
wants to live so he can remember her.
Which is weird. Okay, fine. I'll buy it. And then he says, okay, if you want to live, now you need to go and kill the head guy, the manager of
First,
the New
you
York
gotta give
Continental.
him his ring.
Oh
his
yeah, that was
finger.
brutal.
He
Yeah.
chops his own finger off. That's a Japanese, I think, tradition.
Well, what was great is like there's a chisel and then there's a hammer, so you can like, I don't know in what way that the hammer was important because I don't know how you like hold a chisel
Gotta
and
do it
then
real fast.
also like hammer at the same time.
no way.
But John just grabs a chisel and cuts his finger off. But like, what was the point of the hammer?
I don't know. But he gives the I guess his marriage ring,
His
or
wedding
something,
ring,
his
yeah.
wedding ring to the guy. He says, "I accept this gift. Now you work for me."
I was gonna tell
You work for
Alex,
this
to be
table."
like, hey, there's an easier way to take it off.
Yeah, you can
bro.
just like pull that thing off. I mean, I've seen people just like lick their finger and then pull the ring off. I don't know if you need to use a chisel.
No, he said, "I want to see you do it." Anyways, so finally, he goes back to New York. On the way, the sushi guy tries to attack him.
Chairman Gaga, yeah.
And we forgot to talk about
Jimmy.
the Adjudicator. So this Adjudicator comes in. What do you think about the Adjudicator?
So I get what they were trying to do because she is the most arrogant person that's ever been in any movie ever, because she is the adjudicator of the high table. Like, she's literally untouchable. And they show throughout the whole movie that even at times where John can kill her, Winston can kill her, everyone could have killed her, and she just sits there going, I'm untouchable. There is nothing you can do to me at any point in time.
Yeah,
and it's
She never says that.
well, she doesn't, but she's like in the beginning of the movie.
Rules.
I'll fucking kill her.
At the end, like John has a gun, Winston has a gun, like the guy at the Continental has a gun, and she's sitting there going like, I have the power over you. At any point in time, they can kill her, but they know that she is truly untouchable. And they have a couple scenes that kind of show that a little bit, but she was kind of annoying in the beginning, but at the end I understood.
She's the one that hunts. Who can I get to really hunt down John Wick? Because I know I'm going to need to pull in some experts. And she goes and gets the sushi chef. He tries to serve her blowfish or something, which is poisonous. Didn't really get that. What is that?
Oh,
Did
it's
she eat
the
poison?
blowfish. No, she didn't eat the poison.
To prove how fucking
he
untouchable she
cuts
is?
it open. He removes the liver to show like how good he is, because I think there's only like a certain amount of certified people in the U.S. that can even do that.
Right.
And then he
I
just
still wouldn't trust him.
Serve blowfish.
yeah, and then he shaves some of the actual meat and then wraps it around something and hands it to her, and then she eats it because she knows that she's safe.
Yeah.
Can't touch
that was
her.
a little bit of a power play there. I was a little disappointed with her character. It is, I was hoping that they'd fight her or she would show a little bit of her power, but maybe she's just simply an adjudicator and she does not have any fighting skill.
No,
Maybe in the next
She
one.
has the
Maybe.
power to speak for the high table, though, which is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful.
It is. So he goes back and the sushi chef is chasing him down, and he manages to make it and put his hand on the steps of the Continental right before the sushi chef is able to kill him. And of course, you can't do, that kind of business on grounds. And he's like, but he's excommunicated. Yeah, but you aren't. Do you want to be excommunicated? So they save him. He says, I want to speak to the manager. He goes into this, and we have this. We only use this room for special occasions. You mean the last movie? the special occasion of the last movie?
I hated that room.
Yeah, so that's where obviously
It was a fucking Apple store is what it was.
John Wick's old manager is there. Winston. And he decides not to kill him. And they decide to start a war. And that's what Parabellum means, is, preparing for war. And so then the high table sends their fucking forces, and they're like,
and that's what, whenever
armored
he's
up.
like, what,
I
I don't want to
that.
do this, though. Let's just fucking fight here. I was like, well, okay, that whole desert scene was kind of pointless to me. I don't regret seeing the whole fight scene.
well, he needed to get those people off his back.
He needed to say passage, too, because there was
they
no
could've
way.
done some other way.
He had to be smug, because,
But
like,
all that was unnecessary.
I agree with you, but like the hand waving is he had to turn in the most precious favor he had to get smuggled out of the United States just to get to Casablanca. I disagree
with Joe. I think it's perfectly
I think
necessary.
like that he needed safe passage back to
That's
do the
fine.
things that he wanted to do. So I mean, we're not going to watch this movie because we wanted to see like super
Story.
cohesive.
Yeah.
I mean,
As I said, I don't regret that whole fight scene.
oh yeah,
in the
that's
desert.
true.
So they send their elite forces. Obviously, they're wearing this armor. I'm like, just shoot them in the fucking legs. It looks like their legs.
They were head. So all the stuff that's sewn into John Wick's suit,
Okay.
they have in their helmets,
Everywhere.
they have in their suits and their gloves, and so he shoots him and knocks him down. But he has to hold his gun
lift it
under their helmet to shoot them, and it was
It's
pretty.
hilarious.
It was pretty satisfying.
It's satisfying, hilarious. So we get to see the manager of the hotel, not the manager, but the receptionist of the hotel,
Concierge.
the
She's higher than
concierge, finally do battle because we've seen. Can this guy fight? He
Yeah,
can fight.
he
So
can
he
fight.
does his deal. He commands the staff of the hotel.
They
come out of a
cannot
room,
fight.
and the staff of the hotel suck balls.
They immediately died everybody.
Immediately.
Well, to be fair, they didn't have any armor. They're not
True.
as good as John Wick.
Yeah, but they just kind of walked
they
out
just
in
walk
the open,
out in the
and then
open.
died.
Die. There's one little funny thing with the fucking swimming pool where John Wick is crashed into a swimming pool with one of the armored up dudes shooting. And as you know, and they've done this before in Mythbusters, bullets travel a lot slower in the water, and so the bullets weren't really that effective in the
it's
water.
just curving.
So he has to like put the gun up under it, and it's such a slow and methodical thing.
I thought they
And then
slowed
all
it down too. It
yeah,
was really cool.
and
It was a cool scene.
it almost became comical.
Well, the whole third act becomes becomes kind of silly.
It does, but it was so
but-
great though, because he's like, I need your guns. He goes and fights, and he comes back. He's like, I need more guns. He's
I need
like, "We
bigger
these
firepower."
Shotguns. These are armor piercing. And you see these guys.
Winston
just
is in
blowing
the safe the
heads
whole
off.
time, and he's like drinking wine. He's like,
He's got a big glass of brandy. He's great.
Yes.
And he keeps
Like,
having
keep
phone
going.
calls. The adjudicator keeps calling him. He's like, "You need to surrender," and he's just like, and hangs.
Nice.
He just keeps hanging up on her.
Eventually, they kill enough of the elite forces that the adjudicators. Do you want to parlay? And he says, "Yeah, that sounds."
Oh
like a
no!
good
First, we
parlay."
have to get to the bad fight scenes
Oh.
where sushi,
yes.
the sushi,
Jimmy.
Jimmy, and then all of his little lackeys show up. And there's a scene where there's 4 different lackeys. There's 2 sets of 2. The first 2 lackeys have him ambushed, and instead of killing him, they kick him through like 9 different glass cabinets. They just take their time kicking him through different glass cabinets. And after the second one, I was tired of it, and then they just kept kicking him through, and they're not killing him. And then he eventually dispatched them, and then you see the Jimmy up 2 floors like clapping. He's like, "Oh, you did it!" And then 2 other dudes show up, and literally,
These guys respect John Wick. These guys are ones that have him dead to rights
But it's a
because
contract.
he's so tired.
Jack, look.
they have their
kill him.
knives to his throat, and they're
Kill
just
him.
like, "Oh, it's such
Yeah.
an honor to fight you."
And I thought that was fine. I like it. I like that these guys are so cocky. They're fans of John Wick. They've heard stories probably all their life of John Wick and the Baba Yaga or whatever, and they want to fight him.
But then they knock him down again, and they let him get up again. And then they knock him down again, and then they let him get up again. And then he beats them up and almost kills them and doesn't, which is fine.
Right, because he wants to reciprocate. He says, I'll see you.
Yeah, it's just
Be seeing you.
the fact that the first 2 guys could have killed him twice and didn't, and then the second set of 2 guys could have killed him 3 times and then didn't, and then
I get it.
the sushi chef shows up and then holds a knife, holds the sword to his throat, and then doesn't kill him.
I saw that part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then
he
decides
stops.
it
He's
decides
like,
not
"Nope,
to
okay."
kill him.
Yeah,
and
but
then
I think John Wick does it to him as well at some point.
Yeah, but he had him first.
Right.
So you would
Yeah.
have killed him.
Okay.
there's just
I
so
got you.
there's just too they
Too
went
much respect for
Yeah.
John Wick in that room, and if John Wick wasn't the Baba Yaga, and if he
Like-
wasn't so well known, he'd be fucking dead. But I think that part of that is, respect amongst assassins, and it is 2v1 on those battles, so they feel a little cocky. They're like, this guy's lost a step. Let's go easy on him and take our time and enjoy it. But it did stretch. It did stretch.
it was too far.
It
$15
was-
million for
So-
those 2 guys is
has the final boss battle. It's a pretty good battle, but we've seen so many good battles the rest of the film that it kind of starts to, blend together a little bit. And by then, finally defeats him, shoves the sword through his body, and but he's not dead. He's still he
That's so good.
like sits up. Hey, this guy, I like this guy. I really
Yes.
like him. He's like, that was a pretty good fight, right, John? John's like,
yeah, it was a good fight.
Yes,
He's
catch
like, well,
my
I'll
breath.
catch up with you later. He's like, no, you won't, because I hit you in a vital area, and he falls over fucking dead.
That's another character I thought I wasn't
Damn it,
going to like. I thought that the
Yeah.
humor was going to be too much, but I did. I
Yeah,
actually
I
did
liked
liked
it.
him. I didn't like the fact that he kept getting John into situations where he clearly could have killed him.
Right.
Or all of his lackeys were like specifically told, hey, you let this guy kill you because only I get to kill him. Like none of
Yeah.
that made any sense. But I actually liked that
Right,
guy.
because in the pool scene, when he gets up, there's a soldier, an armored-up soldier, elite soldier that could kill John Wick, but the sushi chef kills him.
Yeah.
And says, nobody kills you but me. But then the next scene, he's letting his lackeys almost kill John Wick.
Yeah, it reminds me of, I don't remember which Bruce Lee movie where he's like he goes up every floor and fights new bad guys and ultimately getting to, and that's what this kind of felt like. There was 2 lackeys on the bottom floor. He walks up one glass level, fights the other 2 lackeys, walks up the final level and fights sushi guy.
The John Wick has superhuman stamina because you'd be fucking done, you'd be tired. He fights the boss after he fought all fucking day long for multiple days. So that boss really wasn't up.
The
to par.
doctor gave him pills that will give him energy.
No.
That's what he said.
Yeah, but that wasn't it.
They're
That
magic pills. They're called meth.
All right.
PCP.
So, the resolution essentially is, and one character we forgot to mention was the homeless guy leader, Morpheus from,
Oh,
Matrix.
Lawrence Fishburne,
Lawrence
yeah.
Fishburne. Because all these people sort of helped him, but like kind of neutrally helped him, the table went to punish them all. And we thought he was dead because his punishment was 7 slashes.
'Cause he gave him 7
The
bullets.
Russian convent kind of punishment is the lady got her hands cut, and
Halle
punishment.
Berry is gonna be fought.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
she's
yeah.
got to show up in the next film because she
Yeah.
did not get any punishment yet.
She's going to. Yeah.
And then obviously the punishment for Winston was losing the New York Continental. But by the end of the film, they reinstated because they said, okay, let's parlay. I thought this part was kind of dumb. This is where all these things got together, and it was nitpicked, and it reduced it 1 point. But it was more for you guys. Basically said, oh, it was just a show of force. He said, okay, I understand what you were doing. No, you fucking betrayed the fucking table, and you're giving this guy more power. You're going to give him his fucking Continental back. That's going to encourage him. And then he's also saying, well, yeah. She's like, I can keep this up all day. And he's like, yeah, so can I, because you have the table, but I have New York. I have lots of other connections that you don't know about. And she's like, all right. Oh, I see what you're doing. It's just a show of force. We'll give it back to you. No, this motherfucker, like, they kill people for the smallest infractions, and this guy murdered all your elite forces and defied you, and you're going to give back the Continental? That is the part where I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, had it been where...
And so he shoots John Wick, and he's like, what are we going to do with John Wick? And he shoots John Wick, but Winston, I think, purposefully, is shooting him in non-essential areas on his jacket.
That fall, though.
That fall would have killed him, but... So
Not John Wick. Can't kill John Wick that way.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Joe. You think... But he
that
could have shot him in the fucking head, though.
No,
Yeah.
he was kind of blocking and like kind of
Okay,
jumped
you're
off.
right. So you think Winston has turned?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
No longer his friend.
Because of the fall.
I
There's
understand
no
that the folk,
way.
but he's like, John will handle that.
I think that's a
shit."
risk that he was willing to take. If he wanted him dead,
There
he
was
would
no other way. John was going to die, I guess. And he's like, well, here's the thing. If we don't deal with John, if I don't deal with John in front of her, they're going to constantly send elite forces to John. And without my help, without my Continental, he's not going to be able to handle it on his own. So let me make it appear as if John died. And he was willing to take that risk, like Alex said, because maybe he might die off that, maybe he won't.
If he wanted him dead, because the whole thing was she goes down, she gets the time to go all the way from the roof, all the way down, she gets into her limo, and then as she's about to get in the limo, she looks down the street and John's body's not there. If
And
Winston wanted him dead, they would have sent someone down to make sure that the boogeyman is dead.
Right.
Sure.
And I like that. And I like the fact that everybody in the film kind of had reasons and they did logical things. Like, it's like, check to see if he's dead. Somebody goes, checks to see if he's dead.
He's not
Those
dead.
kinds of things are in the film.
Yeah.
And I appreciate when there's a script doctor that seems like they're covering their bases in that way. So, satisfying, gratifying,
Very
and
satisfying.
I just thought that maybe this would be the end, but it's not the end. They're still cranking these things out at a very high level. 9 out of 10
he's
for me.
pissed.
Oh, yeah.
Urgh.
Well, at the
Oh, we
end,
forgot, yeah.
at the very end, he gets picked up by one of the people from the Homeless Network, and then Lawrence Fishburne, who's now all chopped up,
The king.
the king. He's super upset with the high table.
Yeah.
John is upset with the high table. Winston's upset with the high table. Halle Berry's upset with the high table. Like, all of these people are upset with all
set
these
up.
things.
And that's why I like it. And I was like, okay, if you're going to do the end in 2 films, I'm down with it. I'm down for a 4th film of just nonstop high table attack, right? But I don't know how you top these scenes, man.
They were
really
really
don't know
good.
how you top these scenes. But I didn't know how you top John Wick 2 scenes. And I didn't know how you top John Wick 1 scene. So maybe they can pull it off. But let me just say this, Lionsgate. Let me just say this.
Oh, God.
Keanu Reeves. And then
You've
the
said the name twice. If you say it one more time, they show up.
I know.
True.
I won't say it again. I don't think we can get a 5th or a 6th film here. Like they say, I will keep making these as long as you go and see them. And I just don't want to overstay the party and really ruin things. You
What
know
about
I
a
mean?
Halle Berry spinoff? Because we were supposed to get
I'm down for spin-offs.
because Jing. So
Those
she
like a
was supposed to get a
television-
Jinx
I don't
spinoff years ago when she was in James Bond. But they were going to do like a whole spy series with her, and something fell through. She was really good in this, and so they could just decide. I don't know if I want to see it, but they could just be like, "All right, we're going to give you a movie. We're going to give you 2 dogs, run around, kill people."
Right. I just think that it should end at 4. I really do. I don't
Yeah.
want it to drag on to 5 and 6.
It'd be like a Transporter movies and then spin-off TV
I don't
show or
want it to
something.
outstay its welcome and become parodies of
No,
itself.
yeah,
okay?
exactly.
Because
I feel
these are
you.
still, in my opinion, the epitome of action and are high art in a way. I know it's really weird to say that because they're literally just execution style shooting people in the head close range.
Hey,
but it's
dogs
an
bite
assassin
crotches.
art. It's assassin art and suited up assassins. Anyways, really good film. Wanted to talk about it a lot. This probably
Must
ran
watch.
really long. Must watch. We're just big fans of John Wick and Keanu Reeves in particular. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that sub button and the notification bell, please.
Yeah, and also check out the link below and grab yourself some nice merch.
Yep.
that
Supports
is
the
nice
show
merch.
directly. And, yeah, we shall see you on the next Angry Joe Show.
Bye, guys.